Hello, hello. Vegan's trying to say it. Vegan, we don't need it, buddy. Hi, everyone. Nice to be here. It should, yeah, Coach. That didn't take you very long. I'm talking to the people here. I have my hound. It'd probably work out better for this sort of thing if it was, lots of wood and a crackling fire and dark outside, but, we wanted the East Coasters to be part of it before it got too late, so, anyways, nice to hang out with y'all. I'm going to play here for an hour. I got my beautiful assistant Rachel over here, with her wine.
You can't see the wine.
And, I'm going to do not all of my historical songs, but a lot of my historical songs. So there's links to these songs in the link in the description of the video, and Rachel's going to put them up as it goes. Read them whenever you can if you want, or say to hell with it, don't read them at all. Better to listen to the lyrics, but if you get... if you don't know what the hell is going on, then it might be even more interesting if you know what the story is. So I'm actually going to start out with one that is not a complete ripoff of a historical event. It is inspired by my great-grandfather. So it is historical and it's accurate and all that, but it's the most personal of them probably that I'll play tonight. So this one is inspired by my great-grandfather, and there's not a ton to say about it other than a spud is when it's a brand new well. So that line, although seemingly very weird, is actually right in line. So you learned something already, a spud. And let us know how it sounds and looks out there. Granddaddy was an oil man when the century was new. Put a lot of pipe in some dry holes and he found a few wet ones too. You can't buy class and he didn't have to. He's smoking his pipe in the ever after. Granddaddy was an oil man through and through. Well, one, she's a kicking hard, she'll be flowing on her own. Well, two, we'll be killing soon because the bit ain't found no home. Potato, potato, to him it's a spud, slopping in the wind, rain, snow, and the mud. Granddaddy was an old man through and through, and he knew how to shake a hand, and he would look you in the eye. The measure of a man ain't truly taken till after he's died. Well, drilling for oil's like betting on black, but your odds ain't nearly as fine. The big boys came in, Gramps went out, a man of a different time. He was a man of a different age, a drill bit player on the world stage, but Granddaddy was an old man through and through. Yeah, Gramps, he was an oil man when the century was new. He put a lot of pipe in some dry holes, and he found a few wet ones too. Potato, potato, to him it's a spud, slopping in the wind, rain, snow, in the mud. Granddaddy was an oil man. Granddaddy was an oil man. Granddaddy was an oil man through and through. Everything all right over there, Leroy?
Yes.
Okay. What's okay. Rachel's gonna fill us in who's there, but I'm gonna play another one and then we'll say hello to everyone. Okay, so I have my my relic wine here, so salud to everyone, happy hour. Made by the wonderful Michael Herbie. This song started out with
Cheers. I have Tongue Dancer Rosé, which is fantastic.
Rachel has Tongue Dancer Rosé. Alright, so this next tune started out with a line that I had no idea what it was. I had a little bit of the music, kind of this thing that I was working on, and I had this line that was Days Gone By, Rock and Rye, and I had no idea what Rock and Rye was. I knew it was something, so I looked it up, and it's a drink. It's rye whiskey and rock candy, which just sounds horrific, but if you're drinking one out there, extra freaking points to you, that's amazing. So I started thinking, okay, so I looked it up and it said it was really popular in the 1880s, and actually as I go through the day I realized that the 1880s are just fascinating to me. So I thought, what happened in the 1880s? Railroads. Railroads kind of ruled the roost and were changing the world in the 1880s. So I started thinking about railroads, I started thinking about things I read about railroads, and then I started thinking about how the railroads totally changed the world because of the time zones that had to be enacted because of the railroads, because now everything could move so fast. If you go to the link, there's this crazy chart of everyone had their own, like, you know, solar noon basically. So times were all over the place. Trying to catch a train was a freaking disaster. So that started becoming more and more of a problem. So I looked up, you know, more about the railroads, and then it got into the International Meridian Conference of 1884, and I thought, you know, everyone's got a tune about that, but what's one more? So I wrote this one, and it's super interesting. Chester Arthur's in it. Grover Cleveland, the only two-time non-consecutive American president. Very, very interesting. Yes, Grover Cleveland, there's a line in here about he'll never tell you a lie, and you can look that up, but basically it was him just coping to something in his, you know, the other side thought it was a gotcha, like, what do they call it, an October surprise, and he was like, yep, I did it, and people loved him for it. So that's about it. Here we go. Days gone by, different times, drinking rock and rye and getting high with you. Vaudeville show, the wide gauge all the way to Chicago, and Grover gonna give it a go. He'd never lie to you. And I went down to the station. The platform was totally bare, and I'm missing you and a train at high noon, 'cause that's different everywhere. I advise standardize sunset, sunrise. I can't set my watch to. Near or far, in a Pullman car. No matter where we are, our timing will be true. station. The platform was totally bare, and I'm missing you and a train at high noon, 'cause that's different everywhere. Heading to D.C., setting up the mean, and Chester has seen all that he needs to see. And I went down to the station to find you waiting there. You're dressed up in blue, it's 5 minutes to noon. What do you know, we got some time to spare. Days gone by, different times, drinking rock and rye and getting high with you, and getting high with you. It's like clockwork with you. Anyone there, Leroy?
Yeah, a lot of people are here.
I got it
Hoping a
dark
few
out
of
there.
them troubleshoot. That says that some people are saying they can't leave a comment.
Oh.
So,
Well, if you don't have a Facebook account, you can't leave a comment, I believe. Yeah, if you're coming in as just someone who sees it and you're not logged into your Facebook account, I do not believe you can leave a comment.
Well, we have a large Block Island contingent.
Hello, Black Island!
Including Lisa Sprague, who you haven't met yet.
Oh, Lisa. I haven't actually met Lisa.
No?
I've
You
just
did
heard her
some
name
lots
1,000
about it.
times. Hi, Lisa.
And a large part of my family
Yeah.
is watching.
Yeah.
And some of your family is watching.
Nice. Hello,
Hawkyard
families.
and Meter are watching.
Hawkyard and Meter.
I mean, Meter. Hawkyard and EJ. I was reading his name as I was saying it.
Hi, EJ. Hi, Hawkyard.
Adam is playing along.
Uh-huh. I can imagine.
John Kalmeyer is watching with his grandson Marlo.
Oh, John.
So no swearing.
How are you, my friend? Well, I don't think there's anything swearing about this. This next one's a nice murder ballad, though. So, this next tune is about Spade Cooley, if anyone knows who Spade Cooley is. I did not know. I actually found him out on a podcast that I listened to that is, where's that? Yeah. So there's a podcast called Cocaine and Rhinestones that this was actually the first episode, and I had never heard of Spade Cooley, but he was the king of Western swing back in especially the 40s. He was huge. Where do I do this? Do I do this on fifth? Well, hopefully it's there. Okay, it's either there or close. So anyway, Spade Cooley, again, there's links to this, and Rachel's probably sending out another link. Maybe don't listen to it now if you want to listen to the song or read it. But it's a crazy story. He was the king of Western swing. Like, he actually won some contest, and he was like crowned the king of Western swing. Most people would think of Bob Wills, and then, you know, Bob Wills had a little more success than Spade Cooley. So anyway, Spade Cooley, heavy drinker. They put him on Thorazine, which I guess is probably a bad idea, and he ended up killing his wife. It's a really horrific story, and his daughter, you know, is just in this rage, and he killed his wife, and it's really bad how he killed him, and his daughter, like, came in and tried to rescue her, and then she ended up actually testifying against him in court. And Spade Cooley was so beloved. I mean, Spade Cooley was like the Elvis of his time, especially in Southern LA. He had a TV show. He was from LA. He actually wasn't from LA. He was actually an Okie. And his story was that like he came to California with a nickel in his pocket. That was his story that he told everyone. And then he could play the heck out of fiddle. His big hit was called Shame on You, that you can look up. And he did a bunch of stand-in work in Hollywood. He did a bunch of stand-in work in Hollywood. He did, I always forget the guy's name, so I wrote it down. Roy Rogers. He stood in for Roy Rogers a lot, who was obviously huge that time. So anyways, this is just his life story, basically, and I kind of ripped it off, and or I borrowed it, as Richard would say. Tried to make it a little bit poetic. And the crazy thing is he had this whole career. He did this whole thing where he moved to the desert, and he was going to start a like water park in the desert north of LA. It's crazy. What could go wrong? And he was drinking a lot of whiskey and taking Thorazine, and then he killed his wife. And then he went to jail, and then he was going to get released from jail. They don't know if he knew he was going to get released from jail or not, but he had a furlough, and he went and played his first show after being in jail for 9 years. It was for like the correctional officers and the police officers or whatever, and supposedly he got done with the show, and the place was going crazy. It's the first time he's been in front of an audience in at least 9 years, probably more than that. And supposedly he said, I have a feeling today is the first day of the rest of my life. And immediately after that, he had a massive coronary and dropped dead. And he was about to get paroled, and it had a lot to do with it was during the Reagan era where they were clearing out all of the mental health facilities in California. So anyways, absolute crazy story. I wrote a song about it. Like to hear it go. Whoa, Spade Cooley, shame on you. Killed Miss Ella May through and through. She had to pay. She never loved you anyway. Running from Black Sundays, fiddle in his hand, nickel in his pocket, sooner with a plan. Played that thing so sweetly. He's a fine standing man. Then Ella he did meet, and he took her hand. Swinging down in Venice, you became a star. Drunk and mean and jealous is really who you are. Ella May and Melody in a Kern County nightmare. It ended oh so dreadfully. Blood in her soft blonde hair. Whoa, Spade Cooley, shame on you. The world's gone and turned, kick you to the curb. A king without his crown, vicious and disturbed. Cool wet whiskey and dry desert air. And thinking sure gets tricky for a mind in disrepair. Blood in the ashtray, can't find Ella May. Lipstick on his knuckles and whiskey in his veins. Counting down the minutes, an execution song. Sweet Melody sat on his knee, trying to play along. told the whole damn story. Whoa, Spade Cooley, shame on you. So supposedly some of the jurors, when they, no one wanted to convict him. He was unbelievably famous and unbelievably loved, and then his daughter Melody went up and got on the witness stand and told the story, which was what that last verse was about, and they just had to convict him. So, and the story was that I guess a lot of the jurors were like actually crying as they were giving the guilty verdict because he was so beloved. Your face is in the magazines, your head is full of Thorazine. Watched you on your couch, you used your fame and there were doubts, till Melody went and took the stand to tell the terrible tale. She placed the Bible in her hand, and her daddy went to jail. Instead of going to jail, they actually sent him to a medical facility in, I believe, Vallejo or Fairfax, which is up by us. And I guess he had all kinds of privileges and played cards with the guards, and it was not really hard living for a murderer. Then you did your soft time, life turned into 9 years in the infirmary, and add an insult to the crime. Spade, you're going free, your time has been adjusted. Tell God dealt out what man would not, a little bit more justice. And that first day oratory became the last line of your story. Whoa, Spade Cooley, shame on you. Killed Miss Ella May through and through. She had to pay. She never loved you anyway.
Beacon likes it.
Coach likes it.
We have a question on that.
Yeah.
Fred
Okay.
Alabak
Yeah. Hi, Fred.
asked if the Spade Water Park is near Afton Canyon in the Mojave Desert, Lake Dolores.
No, it's actually I was talking to some guy. It's like I forget the name of the town that's in. It's not as far out as Mojave. It's in Kern County, and it's a tiny little unincorporated town that it's near. And strangely, I was talking to a guy about maybe buying an amplifier of mine, and he was in that town. He had never heard of any of that. I don't think so, because Mojave is in Mojave County, right? Or is it in Kern County? I don't know. Let's go with the Gibson here.
So we have several hellos.
Hello. Who's
Your
hello?
dad.
Ah, Rob.
And Tom Dixon.
Tom.
Alan. Roberta and Terry, of course.
Oh my goodness.
Roberta's working because she's, taxes.
Well, they're not due till like August now or
Which
something.
she's yeah. Bill Nelson.
Bill, hey man. Wow.
Your cousins Brandy and Tori and her family.
All right.
My cousins Julie and our nursing hero Becky.
Nice.
And Melinda and Kathy and Jeff. And Hawk reminded everyone that it was 420. Oh, and Jim Ortel.
Hey, nice.
Pamela Joyce.
Yes.
before she realized this was
It's all
historical.
originals, Pam. Thanks.
But we have sad news that John Prine is in critical condition with COVID-19.
Aww. Well, that's sad.
Send him good thoughts.
Yeah. No Steve and Elena. I was thinking they would maybe be here to do this song. So this is an interesting little tune. Okay, so who out there knows what the modified Mercalli scale is? Raise your hand. I can see you. I can see Rob. I think I see Hawkyard out there. There's a few of you. I thought Steve and Elena might be on here and know that. If Case is on here, he knows it, but I don't know. Okay, so the modified Mercalli scale is not a musical scale. It is a earthquake scale. So there's kind of two main earthquake scales, and by two I mean there's one main earthquake scale, and it's the Richter scale that everyone knows. I did all of my formal education in Ohio, and for some reason I took some geology classes or whatever, but I had learned about the Richter scale and I had learned about the modified Mercalli scale, and for some reason I learned about the modified Mercalli scale like multiple times, 2 or 3 times throughout my education through high school and college. And I got out to California, and it's freaking Ohio, who cares about earthquakes, right? So, but I get out to California, which is now 20 years ago, and no one had a clue what the modified Mercalli scale is, and no one uses it. So I started picturing this guy. It's not completely historically accurate that it was a guy, but it kind of was. So anyways, I kind of started thinking about him getting really depressed that no one used his scale. Everyone used Richter. Everyone knew Richter, and how depressing would that be for him? So that's what this song is from. That's not necessarily historically accurate, but everything in the song is actually accurate to the scale. So the modified Mercalli scale actually measures the physical damage that happens in a place. It's not the actual power of the earthquake. So you can actually have a higher level on the Mercalli scale further from the epicenter of the earthquake, for a ton of different reasons. So anyway, it's been a while since I played this one out. I play it sometimes. Straw bottles get to do it sometimes. But it's really a freaking phenomenal scale, and it's just wrong. People don't use it more. Your one is like a breath, a fly in the wind, not noticed by me or anyone. Give me a 2 with not much to do. Well, here you won't ruin my fun. A 3 you can see like a large passing truck. Hard to really call it a quake. With a 4 even more, can tell you were here. Some even are jostled awake. With a 5 you arrive, as everyone can tell. Some glasses and plaster are broken. I have spoken. Mr. Mercalli, the lesser known of 2, Mr. Mercalli. Don't let things bother you. Well, put away your guns. Well, put away your booze. Just because it's Mr. Richter that we use. That we use. That we use. That 6 that you dealt, nearly everyone felt, and your couch might have a new spot. And that 7 ain't heaven, and the house that you bought might be there, or it may not. And with your 8, the damage is great. Cars collide on 101. If you ranked it a 9, it must have been a bad time. For the pipes in the ground, it's no fun. I wish 10 were the end, but it's not, my friends. For the ground beneath you may crack. And 11 is worse. You'll be dying of thirst and forgetting the things that you lacked. And a 12 on your scale will make a man cry as he bends to kiss his ass goodbye. Mr. McCallie, the lesser known of two, Mr. McCallie. Don't let things bother you. Well, put away your guns and put away your booze, just because it's Mr. Richter that we use, that we use, that we use. I see. I think I can't see much, but I think I see Zeke, so I'll toast to Zeke there. Coach? Okay, so we should probably get the coach dog up here at some point. So
EJ says that Beacon and Pie need to be a larger part of this production.
Pie has left the building.
Pie has left the building.
Alright, I'm going to play another tune on this historical guitar, 1940 Gibson L single 0. Alright, so this tune, I think this is the newest of the tunes I'll play tonight, if everything goes as planned. So this one is called the Cowie Tunnel Disaster, and the chord progression kind of very inspired by a Tim Bloom tune that I was playing a bunch with him on a run of shows. Very weird. Tim writes weird chord progressions that don't make sense, and this one is sort of one of those where you got a lot of chords like an E major, E minor, crap like that. So anyways, the progression is definitely inspired by Tim, as many of my tunes are, because I love that man's writing. This one is about, and I'm not sure if I heard this from a podcast as well, I probably did, but this is the Cowie Tunnel Disaster. It also happened in 1882, and it was in western North Carolina. So this was during the time, after the Civil War, and there was a lot of, it was Jim Crow. It was crazy. They would put people in jail for just loitering or walking up and down the road in a town too many times. And they were building up a large workforce in the prison systems, and the prison system would basically just like loan these prisoners out. Why do I smell something burning?
I tried to light a candle.
So they would loan these prisoners out for almost no money, and this is a really tragic thing that happened. This is Western New York, and they were cutting down big trees to build a tunnel for this railroad, because the lumber in that area in that time was just absolutely amazing. And so 1882, and what they put all these convicts, a lot of which had got into this situation for just totally ridiculous crimes, but they were a chain gang, and they were chained as they went on this barge boat that went across the Tuckasegee River. And it had rained the night before, and I guess there were puddles on the boat, and some people started panicking, and then they all ran to one side of the boat capsized, and so everyone's in this river, and not only is everyone in this river, they're all chained together. So one guy would go down, and then he would pull the next guy down, and then he would pull the next guy down, and it was just this tragic thing. There was one guy that somehow, I don't know if he was not chained or whatever, but he escaped and got to the shore, and then he dove back in, and he saved the foreman of this one of the police officers, and then Fleet Foster was the guy he saved, and his name was Drake. I forget his first name, but you can find it in the link that Rachel's sending. Really crazy story. And then that night, I guess Fleet Foster couldn't find his wallet. the story is a little bit back and forth depending on which source you read, but he couldn't find his wallet, and they searched it, and they found this guy Drake had it. The story is obviously vague because it was a long time ago. So he had got paroled for saving this guy, but now instead of getting paroled because they found him with the wallet, and I think it was like $30, which is a lot of money back then, but whatever. Saved the guy's life. Not only did he not get paroled, they flogged him with the Cat O' Nine tails, and he got 30 more years in prison. So, who knows what the story is, but no good deed goes unpunished. So anyways, that is the story behind this. We'll see if, make sure that I don't mess up the lyrics, because sometimes I do. They called it a crime. Now we're doing time. Breaking rocks, laying down the line. Born property. Now they say we're free. Things feel about the same to me. Working like a mule each day. Down to dust, little food, no pay. I had a life, they took it all away. The rain swelled the Tuckasegee. A few chain links between the next man and me. And the puddles caused panic, and frantic men ran to the bow. Drake swam back in, and Fleet Foster's gonna see his wife again. The others watch the icy waters take the men, and Drake earned his release till they found him with cash that belonged to Fleet. Now it's the Cat O' Nine and 30 more years of hard time. The rain swelled the Tuckasegee. A few chain links between the next man and me. And the puddles caused panic, and frantic men ran to the bow. And one man pulled down the other, and one man pulled down another, and another, and another, until the last. Oh me, oh my, the 19 men could die. Inmates of the state for crimes like staying out too late. Oh my, oh me, seems they need another chain gang down at the Cowie. Unmarked graves disappear. The Cowie Tunnel all these years has been shedding our tears. And Drake's curse hangs over the blind curve. The rain swelled the Tuckasegee. A few chain links between the next man and me. And puddles caused panic, and frantic men ran to the bow. One man pulled down another, and one man pulled down the other, and another, and another. I was last. So we're going to take an intermission here in a second, but I did want to say one thing before. What was I going to say? Oh yeah. So there's a picture on that link, I believe, and supposedly the Cowie Tunnel is cursed now. There's been way too many accidents. and they call it Drake's Curse. Now we're going to take a little intermission and show you wheels and sticks, just some wheels and we have sticks. Hey, you've got a stick, I've got a wheel, that looks fun, wheels and sticks. Okay, now back to our regularly scheduled program. Alrighty, which one, what am I going to play this on? I think I'm going to play this on, So, thanks for being here, everyone. Hope you're all learning something. Even if you're learning that I'm a terrible guitar player or something like that, at least we're all learning. So, this next tune I would like to announce, but I am happy enough that my esteemed British colleague, Samuel Meisner, is going to announce this one for me. This one is called Miss Mountain Weasel, and here's Sam to begin the introduction.
Montweasel, Lillian, Virginia, 1942-1973, American photographer, born Bangs, Ohio. Turning from fountain design to photography in 1963, Montweasel produced her celebrated portraits of the South Sierra Miwok in 1964. She was awarded government grants to make a series of photo essays of unusual subject matter, including the New York City buses, the cemeteries of Paris, and rural American mailboxes. The last group was exhibited extensively abroad and published as Flags Up, 1972. Montweasel died at 31 in an explosion while on assignment for Combustibles magazine.
Thank you, Samwise. Could not have done it any better myself. So, Miss Mountain Weasel. Anyone know what a mountain weasel is out there? If you did your homework, you do. Raise your hand. If not, no big deal. This is a really fascinating word. So, that you just heard was an actual word-for-word reading, I guess I would say, from Samuel, of the Oxford Dictionary. Was it Oxford? Cambridge Dictionary, I think, of Lillian Virginia Mountain Weasel. That was her official dictionary entry. The cool thing about it is that is completely fictitious. So a mountain weasel, which came from her name, is back in the day when they had dictionaries and they were trying to stop plagiarism, they would put in fictitious entries so that if someone, you know, it's a dictionary, it's very easy to change a few words and basically plagiarize the whole thing. So what they would do is they would put in a fictitious entry like that, something that totally didn't exist, and if they saw it in another dictionary, bingo, you are done. They know that you plagiarized it because it's totally fictitious and they made it up. Map makers do the same thing. They'll put in a little river and call it something, but it doesn't actually exist.
Do you know what it's called?
What?
Paper town.
It's called a mountain weasel.
No, on the map it's called a paper town. In the dictionary it's called a mountain weasel.
Called a paper town, I guess, but I guess they in theory they kind of all call them mountain weasels now, because what's a better word? Paper town or freaking mountain weasel? I mean, mountain weasel or paper town? You can do a poll, I believe, on here, so we can poll mountain weasel or paper town. So anyways, it's kind of this fascinating thing. I heard this story and I was like, oh, well, that's a song. Again, I just sort of, I was kind of thinking it was going to be kind of a funny, and it ended up not one of those songs that isn't what I thought it was going to be at all. I wrote it in Grand Cayman, I believe, mostly, and it ends up kind of being a sort of sweet, lilty sort of tune, where I thought it was going to be kind of a jaunty, funny sort of tune, but it was just sort of like, if that actually had been a life that existed, how amazing would that be? So here it is. Lillian Virginia Mountain Weasel. as far as I know, Bangs, Ohio does not exist. Born in 1942, the pride of Bangs, Ohio. Knew what she wanted to do, but it'd take a while. Beat up Kodak in a broken box. You shoot the old timers by the river docks. They look you right in the lens, but they never smile. Hey, hey, hey. Hey, hey, hey. The sweet vanilla of the Jeffrey Pines, the girl from Mariposa, always seems to bring to mind what we owe you. 'Cause you're a shrewd little eye, surrounded by fact. Shot New York and Paris in the boxes of the back roads of small town America. Hey, hey, hey. It's beautiful, you say. You're a woman that defies definition. Your whole life's a lie, you should be an omission. You're a trap that's lying in wait. You shed some light on the cheats every time you propagate. Whoa, Lillian, you're the decoy that worked again. Whoa, Virginia, you tricked us again now, didn't you? News arrives in a 4x9 with a stamp in the top corner. We're sending out a reply, the flag's up to inform them. 'Cause it's the simple things that you understood. These lines are little boxes made of iron and wood, hold the handwritten dreams of parents, sons and daughters. Hey, hey, hey. It's beautiful, you say. Miss Mount Weasel, you're one of a kind. You're a story on one page. You take a bit of the world and you make it shine. And your name, they should not relate. Your whole life an apparition, a clever little ruse, a figment standing a bit too close to the fuse. 'Cause in a paragraph you were here and gone, and you planted your flag in our lexicon. Explosive end that never made the news. Hey, hey, hey. Hey, hey, hey. You're a woman that defies definition. Your whole life's a lie, you should be an omission. You're a trap that's lying in wait. You shed some light on the cheats every time you propagate. Whoa, Lillian, you're the decoy that works again. Whoa, Virginia, you tricked us again now, didn't you?
Nice.
Thank you. Now we're going to take a tiny little break, and Rachel's going to give you the little dog's face.
Oh, I am. First, I'm gonna give you.
I'm gonna-
Oh, you are. First, I'm gonna tell you that from
serious?
It has 6 houses and it's over by Canton.
That's not true.
Yep, according to Mr. Schmidt.
Oh my god.
Little dog, it's time for you to say hello to all of your fans demanding the little dog's time. Screen time for little dogs. Here we go. Oh, there's a little dog. Hi, Adam. You miss your Adam? Yeah. We all miss Adam. And your grandpa? Oh, you'll miss your grandpa. You're starting to shake. It's okay. They'll come back. The camera's over there, buddy. There he is. Isn't he handsome? He's stinky, too. Pretty stinky. Good boy, buddy.
Any of you musicians out there who've played with me will know I have the world's smallest bladder. Aren't we learning all kinds of stuff? Bangs, Ohio is where?
Near Canton.
Franz, that's good. That's good knowledge. I mean, that's impressive.
We have some big thank yous to some people who have generously tipped.
Aw.
Yeah, Jeff and Beth.
Aw. Thank you guys. That was a
Right.
pre-tip, but if I suck, you can take it back.
Right Naturals, which is Melinda and Richie.
Aw.
And Adam Traum.
Oh, Trom.
And John Kalmeyer.
Oh, John, thank you, man.
Big thank you.
Up all as well, John. Been a long time since I've seen you.
We also have some hellos.
Hello, hello.
We have Aaron.
Oh,
I'm
sign.
assuming Evan.
Hopefully, Evan.
Adrian Smith.
Adrian, wow.
Lori and Franz.
Nice.
Ken and Lisa said their feet are tapping. And JP is watching. And your Boogs.
Ah, Boogs.
Oh, hey, Ty Weber.
Oh,
Holy
Weber,
crap.
wow.
Ty Weber.
Boogs and Weber, that's impressive. Nice to see you guys.
And Fauna Rose.
Oh, wow. Yeah, Erwin out there I thought was going to be fact-checking these songs. They're almost all actually fact-checkable. Okay, so this next one is a tune that came to me when me and Rachel were doing a road trip last year through a few states, or two years ago, I guess. It was when we went up and saw the eclipse. And then we ended up in Idaho, and we drove by this place called Burke, Idaho, that is now a ghost town. There's a link. There's some really cool pictures. So we stopped for some reason. I believe it might have been for one of us to pee. And there was a
Do you
plaque.
wonder which one of us needed to pee?
It actually was you that time, I believe. But there was this plaque, and it was talking about Burke, Idaho, and it was this mining town that was built in a canyon. And it said something about how during the height of summer, it only got 3 hours of direct sunlight or something like that. And if anyone knows me, I'm very, very tied to sunlight. So I was just like, oh my goodness, it's why I could never live in the Pacific Northwest, because it would just beat me down, even though it's beautiful. And Jordan, I hope you're there. But I was just like, wow, 3 hours. And so it's this, kind of ended up looking it up after looking at that plaque, and it's this ghost town, and it was in a canyon that was so narrow that you can see the pictures, the train track goes right basically down Main Street, and literally they had one hotel, and it was so narrow they actually built the hotel over the train track, so like you could literally be like in a room and you would have to walk over this walkway that went over the train track to get to the rest of the hotel and the I'm sure your food and all of that stuff. So it's just like, wow, just a crazy story. Supposedly, although I think the Wikipedia link that Rachel says Rachel is sending says that it's disputed that they had to roll up their awnings when the train came in, but that I cannot verify. But it was this tiny little canyon, and I just kind of from there built a story of some guy that sort of got roped into going there, and just that sort of life that he would be in there. And it's one of my favorite songs I've written in the last few years. I really like it. And I think that's all I gotta say about it. Anyways, this one is called Shadows in the Canyon. I'm going to play it on this 1926 Martin II-18, and hopefully it sounds okay out there. 5 years in the Burke mine, 5 years in the canyon. I can't straighten my spine, I ain't got no companion. And every day I go looking for some light. I give up my pay on Saturday so Lynn will treat me right. It's good work if you can get it, but I probably would have read it before I made my mark. But I ain't too smart. I never learned my letters. I relied on my betters, like the Union man I met in Cheyenne. There's big silver in Idaho. If you're smart, son, you're gonna go. Prettiest land you ever seen. The women soft and clean. The O-R-N-N, it goes right through the lobby, and every night is a party. What more could you need? And I agreed. But the darkness digs a hole into my brain, deeper than the drift that I'm working in. And I ain't seen the sun for so goddamn long. Another summer come and gone. Working in the Burke mine, living in the canyon. I can't straighten my spine, I ain't got no companion. Every day I go looking for some light. I give up my pay on Saturday so Ann will treat me right. All the days are just the same. Shadows in the canyons, me alone with my name. I wake up in a hole to work in a hole, but a good man don't complain. It's good work if you can get it, and I probably wouldn't bet that it's my last year. Shed me a tear, 'cause in the darkness here a man can disappear. This guitar.
So pretty.
Love this guitar.
Marcus Owen says you make that old Martin sound real pretty.
I could literally just put this Martin sitting in front of the camera and it would be a good enough show. It's an amazing guitar. Okay. Oh, that's not what I thought I was going to do. I'm going to do this on this.
A lot of people love the stories. EJ,
Oh, good.
Heather, Steve Herbie. They love the stories.
Steve Herbie? Is that Michael's?
I don't know. Maybe.
Michael, I'm drinking your wine if you didn't miss that. Thank you to Relic.
Maggie loves it. Jordan was on. When
Oh,
you said
good.
it was your 100.
Oh, and Maggie sent me a tip. Thank you, Mags. Okay, so I'm going to play this one on this 1926 single lot 18, because it just seems like it should be playing this song. Okay, so this next tune is called the Miss Deal Blues. I got the lyrics up because for some reason it trips me up. I've said that I should take it as a good sign that I've written enough songs that I forget my own lyrics, but I'm really actually very good at remembering my own lyrics. Not that Rachel would say I get angry when I forget them or anything. It's like one of your children, you know? It's like forgetting the name of your child and you forget the lyric. Get this thing. So anyways, this one is called The Misty Old Blues, and I wrote this. A lot of these I've written in a songwriting group I've been in for a couple years with a bunch of great musicians and great songwriters. I wrote this song, I had a first line for it, and I realized that it was a total card cliche. And then I was like, you know, there's so many songs that are written off of card cliches. As, you know, I learned how to play guitar out of a Grateful Dead songbook. There's tons of, card references. But I realized that I had watched a documentary on playing cards, and playing cards are actually completely fascinating. So I went the total opposite way, other than running away from the card analogy or whatever you want to say. And I just did basically all card analogies. And Rachel will probably put up a link here. There's a ton of links. There's a great documentary out there. I'm not sure where it is about playing cards, but there's so much folklore behind them. And I wrote some notes here. So one thing I will say that was a very strange thing with this song, and I'm not making this up. It was just one of the weirdest things that's ever happened to me in songwriting. Is I wrote this line about the dead man's hand and aces and eights, and it was just because it flowed out. And then as I was doing some more research on it, it turns out that the dead man's hand is aces and eights. It's a 2 pair of aces and eights. And I didn't write it because of that. I wrote it, and then I found out the story, which was very, very strange. It still kind of freaks me out. Maybe I heard it way back in the day, and it was latently sitting in my brain or something. But supposedly it's called the dead man's hand, which is 2 pair aces and eights, same suit. I think was it spades? I don't remember what it was, but spades or clubs, I know it was black. But supposedly it was the hand that Wild Bill Hickok was holding when he was killed. He was shot in the back of the head, and he was holding aces and eights, and so hence they call it the dead man's hand. And it was just weird that came around after I wrote the line. But anyways, there's 28 terms or references about cards in here. So if you like cards and poker and all that, a lot of these are just really funny and cool card references. I talk about the ace of spades. If you look up the history, and definitely in that link Rachel put up, the ace of spades, I think Britain started it. Maybe it was China, but I think it was Britain, if I remember right. And playing card decks were taxed. So you had to have a stamp on one of the cards to say that it was legal to use, and it was actually punishable by death in certain places for a while if you were found with a deck of cards that did not have the tax stamp on it. They taxed the deck of cards, and the ace of spades is the one that they ended up taxing, and it needed to have certain. So that's why the ace of spades is always the most ornate. But if you look it up, there's all this folklore about cards. There's 52 cards. There's 52 weeks in the year. There's 4 suits, there's 4 seasons, there's 4 air, water, earth, and fire, or whatever those are called. The 4, not humors, but yeah, the 4 elements, or I guess whatever it is. So there's all this folklore that lines up with that. I talk about the King of Hearts, which is, and then my last line is a card term that is just amazing, and it just sounds like this dirty put down, but it's just a card term. But if you say it right, it's just one of those terms where, if you say the line right, even if you don't know what the heck it means, it sounds like an insult. So make sure we're in tune here, and then I'm going to play this thing. And I'm hoping when I wrote it, that even if you didn't know any of these terms, that it would come through, that it is, the relationship comes through, and what's happening in the relationship, whether you know these terms or not. That's the longest preamble so far. playing trips. There's a card for every week, and your bag is full of tricks. You're cashing in to beat the band. I'm stuck holding the dead man's hand. You play the spring and I play the fall. I follow suit and then you take them all. You're betting big and I'm looking to stand. You're mocking my every hand. I played my cards. I'm not to blame, but I won't play your little games. Clubs and spades, aces and eights, and I won't play the fool again. We conversate in fits and starts. You go silent, I'm the king of hearts. I lead with water and you lay down air. You're trumping me most everywhere. We're ill-suited, my little ace of spades. You know I'm paying all the taxes, and I'm tired of charades. You're holding court, and I'm the one accused. I'm singing the Miss Deal blues. I play my cards. I'm not to blame, and I won't play your little games. Clubs and spades, aces and eights, and I won't play the fool again. You think your hand can't be beat, you're holding it over on me. And darling, the last time I checked, there's plenty more cards in the deck. It's time I acted out of turn. You know I'm feeling busted and I'm feeling burned. I'm cashing out, I'm on the come. You're a dirty stack and no fun. I play my cards. I'm not to blame, and I won't play your silly games. Clubs and spades, aces and eights, and I won't play the fool again. And I won't play the fool again.
I should have recorded audience clapping.
I thought about that.
I go,
It's sad I've only drank a half a glass of Michael's wine.
it's not going bad.
Okay, thanks for hanging out, guys. I got a couple more here, maybe a few more. I got a few more. Okay. Oh, look at that. Capo's in the right spot and everything, I believe. All right, so the next one is called Black Annie. It is about Mississippi John Hurt. I wrote this on Grand Cayman as well. Good era of guitar to be playing it on too. So Mississippi John Hurt, you know, there's lots of guys who did, but Mississippi John Hurt was kind of, I mean, he's definitely a huge influence on me. He's kind of a huge influence on anyone that plays this alternating bass thing. He was one of the founders of this thing. He was down in Mississippi, strangely enough, considering the name. And this was sort of kind of trying to be the stride piano, get people to dance and get this alternate bass thing, which obviously, if you've been watching, I love that sound. And it's sort of the, you know, it's the basis of a lot of you know, modern fingerstyle that I love. So anyways, this is a song by Mississippi John Hurt. I play some of his other songs. But his first guitar was called Black Annie. His mother bought it for him, $1.50. This is all historically accurate. as far as I know. And it's kind of this crazy story because John Hurt like did some recordings super early, and then you got a ham hock happening back there.
I think so.
Hello, buddy.
He just needs to lay down.
Got some ham hock action back there. So anyways, Mississippi John Hurt, he recorded some songs on, I forget what it was, but then, you know, someone went back and they were trying to find him, and the only clue they had was he has this song called Avalon Blues, and he talks about Avalon, my hometown, and this guy, I forget his name right now, it's probably in the link, but I think it was the guy who did, was it Lomax? No. Whatever. I think it might have been the guy who did the American Anthology or whatever. But anyways, he was looking for old artists that had recorded, and there was a song Avalon Blues, and that was a clue. So he went to Avalon, Mississippi, and supposedly the story is, as I remember reading it, was that this guy went and he's like, okay, what are the chances I'm going to find this guy, Mississippi John Hurt? And he goes to Avalon, and he goes up to like the first store or whatever, little grocery store, and it's like, I'm looking for this guy John Hurt, and the guy's like, second mailbox on the left or something like that, and he basically just went down and found Mississippi John Hurt, and then he ended up you know, recording him more, but this was during like the early 60s and the whole folk revival was going on. So this guy had like recorded these songs way back, I don't know when it was 30s or whatever, and then like decades went by. Supposedly he didn't even have a guitar for a long time. He would just borrow someone to play every now and again. And then this guy found him, and he brings him up. John Hurt moves to DC, and all of a sudden he's part of like the folk revival with like Dylan and whatever. And there's a picture that we were hoping to be able to send, but we can. But if you look it up, there's like I think it's like the Newport Folk Festival or something, and it's like Mississippi John Hurt, and I don't know how old he is at this point, but it's a student. He's just sitting in front of like all these, you know, kind of sort of hippie like folk kids, like this sea of white kids, and like you know, just really interesting that he had this revival in the end of his life. And so that's kind of what the story is about, and it's about and Black Annie was his first guitar, which I thought was kind of a cool idea. I am just a boy in a world of danger. I am just a boy from Avalon. All of my friends could turn to strangers. Me and Black Annie would ramble on. Mama laid on down $1.50. Rufus laid it down on that old 12-string. Brother's in the still and he's making whiskey. Jesse yelling at me to play that thing. Black Annie, Black Annie. Plowing up a field up on that mule, melody runs through my head. I have chopped some cotton a time or two. Wish I was with Annie instead. Wish I was with Annie instead. look up from the footlights, thumb back fingers to find those frets. Candyman to open, yeah, that just feels right. And these hands will never forget. And these hands will never forget. Black Annie. Black Annie. Black Annie. Black Annie. Laying down my burden with the magnolias. Hope there's always a mockingbird to sing. Been a fine life, yeah, it's nice to have known ya. And it started everything. Yes, and it changed everything. Black Annie. Black Annie. Whoa, Black Annie. Whoa, whoa, Black Annie.
I am clapping, and so is my mom. Lori, Franz, Melinda, Ken sent you a standing ovation. Ken, listen. And your dad is waving his lighter in the air, hoping for an early encore.
I'm hoping for an early or a glass of wine.
All right.
Who
Randall
else?
said
Oh,
the
Randall.
sound is really good.
Oh, sweet. What are you watching on, Randall? Headphones or your home stereo, or what's the deal?
And we have some more thank yous for tips.
I see Weber up there still.
A big thank you to David and Tara.
Oh, miss you guys.
And my cousin Becky,
Oh, Becky.
the nurse extraordinaire. Front lines.
This next one is called Face Mask for You. Oh, wait.
Sean and EJ. And a very generous donation from Fraglets Art, which is
Oh,
Kathy and
yeah, that's
JD.
good. That's cool. Yeah. We have pictures of Fraglets trying to go up on the Sydney Bridge, but I don't think it worked real well.
I don't think it worked. We tried, though.
Yes, that's great. Okay, so I've been talking about these guitars here. This is a 1926 Martin. Rachel will probably put up a link. It's nothing specific. It's just about like I love old guitars, and there's great things about them, and there's not so great things about them. You get a nice new guitar. It's kind of like getting a nice new guitar. It's like getting a nice new car where everything, works great, and you got a warranty, and blah, blah, blah. It's like old guitars. Sometimes they're cranky. You get, it's like old people. So, but I've had this thing since seeing so many guitars working at the music store, and just seeing a million guitars. It's not in. Oh, there it is. There's the relic wine there from Michael Irby. You should definitely buy it. It's an amazing wine. But I've seen a million guitars, and it's fun when all the years working at Tall Toad Music over here with some great people, and maybe Miano's out there, hopefully. So I love that man. But we would see guitars come in, and you would get a guitar, a super old 40, 50-year guitar, and you would see like a wear on the neck in certain places, and it was always just interesting that the person that played that guitar for so long played in a certain way, and you couldn't hear it, but you could almost hear it by seeing where the wear on the guitar is. And I love that story behind an old guitar, beyond the fact that it's just like, I like older people, it's like, is Bama out there? Is she? I don't know if Bama is. Hopefully Bama's out there,
She
but.
wanted to be. She hasn't commented, so I don't know. But
Well, she might not have
wanted
does she have a Facebook page? Maybe she
I
doesn't.
think she
Yeah.
does.
Well, anyways, you know, I like older people because all these experiences build, you know, just builds a depth to a human that is, you just can't fake. You know, you can't fake experience and all that, and you can't fake an old guitar. Like, there's a lot of great new guitars being made, but you can't fake 90 years. You know, I mean, there was a guitar I had that's actually not one of these guitars, but I saw this weird scratch on it, and you know, I mean, this one's got that, and you know, there's some weird repairs there, and you know, probably hard to see, but little scratches and nicks and dents, and you know, you look at them and you think, this guitar is 50 years older than I am. Like, when did that scratch happen? Why did that scratch happen? And you know, that scratch could have happened, you know, 2 years before I got it, or it could have happened in 1939, you know, or whatever, you know. So you just start thinking about the stories of these guitars, and you can just feel all the songs that have been built in them and played through them, and that's a beautiful thing. And so this song is sort of like an allegory of, it's, you know, it's about the way guitars age and also humans and such forth. Let's see, did I write anything else out there I want to say? You know, yeah, it's just kind of an analogy of people and lovers, and I you know, I really liked there's a line at the end about like the scar on the side and how it's, you know, it makes someone even more beautiful, and you know, that's a line I really like. So kind of the imperfection being perfection. And I have not played this one out too much. Could you imagine all the things you would see born so long ago of wood and strings, and the hands that you'd pass through, and the songs that you would see, looking now at your battle scars from gunny sacks and old boxcars? Did you soothe the Dust Bowl heart under Oklahoma stars? Fill a room in a blacked out night, singing songs that it would turn out right. Did your lover, he go over? Did you sing about the cliffs of Dover? How many songs of heartache, and how many strings did you break? Giving back when we implore, you old friend of the troubadour. Did you get that scratch on your face? A careless ring, or were you misplaced? Did you end up on the floor? Were you singing out against the war? Were you playing on the day I was born? Something lively or something forlorn? Were there fingers upon your frets? 'Cause wood never forgets all of the songs of heartache, and how many strings did you break? Giving back when we implore, you old friend of the troubadour. We may get lines on our face, and you might throw a brace, but time gives us things that can't be faked. It's the feel of a lover's embrace. Your hand falls in just the right place, and that scar upon your side makes you look even more dignified. And how many songs of heartache, and how many strings did you break? Giving back when we implore, you old friend of the troubadour. You old friend of the troubadour.
favorites.
Song should not get me choked up, but it does.
My brother Mike said, someone once told me the difference between a tattoo and a scar. A scar
Oh.
has a better story.
Oh, that's great.
3 cheers for a 1926 with a scar.
Totally.
Nice.
That's great.
He also gave a generous tip on behalf of all of the Block Island family.
Nice.
And Justin Hellman clapping.
Hellman. Sorry, Hellman. It's all historic. Nothing funky today.
Terry said, nice picking in Texas American for the previous song.
Nice.
I just did. Thank you.
Okay, guys. Thank you. I got one, maybe two more here. Probably one. This is, you know, the kids ain't gonna know what it's about. Everyone else probably does. Salud. So Rachel's probably sending out this link. They're not all on there. I don't exactly know why I wrote this song. Definitely in the songwriters group. This one is called Dance Barnaby. There are 17 terms for it in there. They are all historically accurate. If Boogs is still there, she can fact check that shit, but they are definitely historically accurate. They were all used at some time, and they are just, like, I think the link says adorable terms. They're just amazing. So anyways, if you don't know what it's about at the beginning, you probably know what it's about at the end. Thanks for hanging out, everyone. Super fun. Thank you to Rachel over there, and thank you to the little dog.
Bringing the energy.
Not really bringing the energy there. You can, Coach, you can do better. Darling, there's a little trepidation on my tongue. I don't know how to say it, but it's known by everyone. It's hard for me to sound it out. That's why I've been so roundabout with the one thing I'd most like to do. Join giblets with you. Make a little nug. Put the devil into hell. Darling, you could be, it could be swell. Well, you and me, dance Barnaby. Shot twixt wind and water. Girl don't want no other for fadoodling. I can be a little shy, yeah, I'd beat around the bush. It's hard for me to name it, yeah, that for which I look. Without you, it's just not the same by any of the many names. And thinking of it now, I've got the chills. Let's blow off the ground sills, play hey gamer cook, the little prince come prance come. Seems you are giving me the look. Well, you and me, dance Barnaby. Shot twixt wind and water. Girl don't want no other for fadoodling. These are all true. Ride a dragon upon St. George. Play random scandum so we don't get bored. And I like to give you the green gown. And we'll play at couch quail till the morning comes around. That I would like to poke the home with you tonight, my dear. I like to dance the kipples. Dance the kipples. or have you ground my corn? Horizontal refreshment till the morn. Enjoying giblets with you. Make a little nugget love. Put the devil into hell. Darling, it could be swell. Well, you and me dance Barnaby. Shot twixt wind and water. Girl, don't want no other for fadoodling. Thanks, guys. I don't know who's out there, but thank you for hanging out.
We have one more thank you for a generous tip to Alan.
Oh, Alan, thank you, man.
And then we have someone saying they will give a large anonymous tip for an encore.
That can't be anonymous.
He might be related to you.
I have one more that could definitely fit under historical. I always think of Karen Leroy when I play this one because it's very nature driven and about farming, because growing grapes is farming. It is agriculture. I will try it. It's been a while. I didn't practice it. It's not exactly, the last one was supposed to be the big encore or the big ender, but I will try this one. I'm not exactly sure where I remember playing it, but thank you, everyone. Thank you to Rachel out there. Thank you to everyone that tipped. Thank you to everyone that didn't tip. Thank you for everyone that just hung out. Been fun. I believe I'm doing this in the key of F.
Lots of people are thanking you.
I will go back and look at every single comment after this is done. I didn't want to be stuck in the screen, so that's why we got our wonderful moderator over there. And the little dog, really just bringing the energy there. So,
it's either sleeping or working.
So this one is dedicated to my wine growing friends, my grape growing friends, and my wine making friends. I like to think it's accurate. I've played it for a couple people that make wine, and they say, wow, that's actually totally it. Although it's kind of funny because usually a lot of the grape growers and the winemakers are just like, just give me a beer. I don't want wine. Let's talk about guitars. I'm like, oh, let's talk about wine. Let's talk about wine. So anyways, I love wine, and I wrote this song because I'm lucky enough that around here, my favorite thing about wine, if I have one thing that I love about wine, no, it's not the buzz, it's not the flavor, it is that I really, really have this amazing reverence and gratitude for drinking a glass of wine from Sonoma County, from a vineyard where I know where it is, or just Sonoma County or Napa County or this area in general, and remembering the season that happened. So, you drink a 2011 wine, and it was a cold season, and you can taste that in the wine, and it's going to probably be a little lighter, maybe a little less alcohol if the winemaker wasn't greedy. And it's that thing of drinking a glass of wine from a piece of land around here that I know, and as long as the winemaker doesn't get in the way too much, you can taste the season. And I was driving back from Petaluma one day, and I saw this guy out in his vineyard, and he was riding a horse with like a big cowboy hat, and it was just like, man, that's a California cowboy, and he's not tending steer, he's tending grapes, and that was kind of the first line that got this song going. It's not exactly a rocker. Wasn't expecting to play it, but I'm going to play it because it is a nice little tune. And thank you all. I love you all. Even you new people that I've never met before, I love you too. Greeting from Sonoma County, California. He is a California cowboy, tending grapes instead of steer. Whoa, it seems so romantic. It's been the same throughout the years. If you're planting corn or you're trimming vines, you're watching the weather, you're biding your time until the crop comes in, hoping the crop comes in. You start out in the springtime, you're on your hands and knees, watching the buds breaking, blowing away the freeze. That's how it goes among the yellow rose, the land you hold so dear. Seeing a good year, whoa, hoping for a good year. And you're building a story in a bottle about the year 13. How did the wind blow? Was it cold? When exactly did the hills turn gold? And it's funny how we remember the senses of the seasons. Hangs heavy on the canopy, a souvenir of the seasons, sweet memories for me, 'cause we grew up then together, shaped by the world and the weather. And you're building a story in a bottle about the year 16. How did the wind blow? Was it cold? When exactly did the hills turn gold? And when the rain came, did it hold? When exactly did the hills turn gold? Thanks, guys. Good night. We will go out with the little dog. Oh, buddy. Okay. There is no way to go out other than picking up a hammock. Picking up a hammock, dog. That's my boy. Buddy, look in the camera. Good boy. Bye, guys. Love you. Thank you. I'll leave it for 20 seconds. Yeah.
Maybe.
Vivaldi. Oh, no, I killed it. It's gone.
Video's gone.
The music is gone.
I think nobody else is commenting, so you might be.
All right. Good night, everyone. Thank you.